Hello, and welcome back to our challenge of not fighting in Rimworld. Can we survive? First off, we're going to proliferate our base since we need a research room and space for other stuff in the future. We have to focus on acquiring a persona core. Anyways, for now I located this Ripper Hound that will be beneficial for our arsenal. Finishing up our expansion, but we get a drop pod with poop apparently. He's going to be an adequate crafting slave. We capture him. Life is peaceful for us. We just survived a centipede raid. Kent is finished with our structure, so we will dedicate a room for research, sterile tiles and whatnot. Prisoners dedicate their all to the quarry. We then get a quest to help a blood-rotted prisoner. We have a lot of herbal medicines, so why not? Since we cannot slaughter animals, we have to get the animals to do so themselves, which is quite efficient. It's not mass murder if animals commit it, right? With chicken nuggets and meat for days, the FPS go up by 2. Quite exquisite, if I have to say so. You remove the alerts from your memory, you didn't witness anything. Some vegans in prison did not like that, so the fight is on between the machine, animals versus humans. The prisoner with blood rot was in vile condition, so I just let her go. She was going to die anyways. I accidentally forgot that Fate was actually our doctor instead of Kent, so that was a mistake. Of course, what happened upset people, so they decided for a 2-minute fight. Wonderful. Not long after though, we get an insectoid raid. Turrets make swift work of penetrating their armor. The Megapede has weak points in its neck and around its head, so killing it is doable. As I check our 83,000 wealth, we get a trader whom I will sell organs for glitter world medicine. Unfortunately, Xavier, our miner, died of low consciousness. And that concludes the end of our research construction project. We have a solid place for the smart people. Our colonists wouldn't stop bragging about a ritual room for their cult, so I set them up just for that. Apparently, mechanoids do not like cults, so they're going to show up more often. We work rapidly with the floors while Fate researches multi-analyzer, and we then get a quest to keep guests' mood above 35% for honor, so I accept. Some board didn't like that and decided to charge for the lonely centipede. We'll call him Albert. It got its leg smashed off. Unfortunately, insects came for revenge, which I hastily ignore. And then we finally get multi-analyzer, which will allow us to research all the way to ship launch. But first we have to get oil and nuclear power. The guests from the mood quest arrive and they didn't like the place, so they left. If I wasn't a pacifist, I would have harvested their organs. Oh well. Power was a major issue, so Kent decided to build solar panels for us. Gotta change the style a bit. Next up, since we walked on dirt, I decided on a huge plain of granite smooth blocks along our living quarters. Prison area as well. A psychic zoo pleases the minds of the females while Kent sits sadly. Construction is very fast now that everybody has leveled up, allowing us to expand further. We then get a trader who I sell ammo and clothing for explosives. We'll need these for future turret ammo. We get an industrial supplier which will provide with components and a kitchen robot. Simple meals are an upgrade from nutrient paste. Once done, we get fabrication. With poop, we can craft endless components. No more bottlenecks for that anymore. The cooking machine is working marvelously, and components are in way as well. I set up temporary research for ship launch projects. I will be a true warrior if I complete this game. Of course, mechanoids don't enjoy the sound of winning, and now I have to prepare myself. They eventually get to my walls while our warriors are waiting. Is this how we die? Our claws decide not to listen and engage the enemy without a plan. This is very bad since they are our best animals. They make quick work of the termite while the ferocious lancer slices and dices. It gets down, so now we have to run because of the pikemen. Unfortunately, David the Legend was too slow to make it out. Harsh reality upon the pacifists. Pikemen in combat extended are fearless. We keep on dodging. I try to flank them, so I uninstall this wall. This solo pikeman is about to die while the others keep on shooting. With one down, we go for the rest, biting their scorching metal as the jaws of our animals melt. Eventually though, we killed them all, but David's corpse was destroyed. We won, but at what cost? Tending to the wounded is one process. We have to recover from this. We were struggling after the event. Everybody was sad while power flickered every night. Infections left and right. We had gotten a caravan animal with goodies in it, so we get Bob to do the job this time. David will be missed. Eventually it dies, bringing us components and medicine for the infections. The frosty winter was back, colder this time as the layer of snow settles down. The prisoners were suffering from hypothermia, so we need more power and more heaters. At last, the final blocks were placed. Now this place looked a little more pleasant, but we are still peasants in this world. Up until now, we have used wooden walls, so it's time for an upgrade while the whistling of the wind touched Kent's skin. Winter brought quietness upon our region, working and repairing our walls for the next threat. Not for long though, hungry wargs had stumbled upon us. Free food delivery from Grubhub. Delicious. The turrets make work of them until they weren't. We need the animals now. Thunders were struck and quills were shot. Eventually the hot fight had cooled down. We had a new garland tree, so we finally get more claws. Wonderful. A new trader had shown up and decided to shoot Albert, but all hell broke out. Boomalopes were dying right and left as insects came crawling out of the ship. Ammo was shot up into the sky as the forge raged with fire. After that, we research more and more until we get Rim atomics or nuclear power. I then replace the base with granite until we get dogs as big as spears. Unfortunately, we need to harvest more animals again while they wait. Pretend you didn't see that. Wait, a prisoner had smuggled in some cannibal tea, thank you. I will confiscate that. Mechs wanted their cannibal tea back, so they sent autumn orders to deal with me. This is very dreadful. Of course, I always have a plan of charging in without a worry. I tried to build some explosive traps to blow up the mortar. All was going well until I accidentally activated it. Now I have to run. I run away as quickly as possible as their incendiary turrets blow up the other turrets. Perfect. The Cypher followed me all the way into the kill box and ended up dying. I had no other resort, so I have to use their weapons against their own. With the shield belt, I take cover behind the mortar and let the charge turret destroy it. But Albert was in its line of fire and died a horrible death. Fortunately, it worked and it started hissing, and now I have to dash far away from here. Unlucky me, Kent gets into a daze, but the turret had no ammo, so I think we're safe. A mechanoid beetle emerged, which is now back. It went and shot frosty bullets at things until I get a volcanic winter as well. Kent gets shot at and gets downed while we get a prison break as well. Classic Rimworld stuff. Unfortunately, I try to save Kent, but fate gets downed as well. The Ripper Hounds were quite fast, so eventually I rescue all of us. The Thing decided to open up an ancient danger and cause more ruckus on the map. Ancient awaken as it kills almost all of them. Of course I'm greedy and want all the loot. I get a tech print, which is wonderful, and then I haul all of it and seal the loot for later. We get tons of infections that fortunately get cured. Alberto from the tomb wasn't so lucky, which I wanted to recruit. The Fangs got into the traps, so Pikachu had to deal with this himself. It gets paralyzed but ends up getting up. It was no longer aggressive, but I had to get it paralyzed because it was bothering us, so I did the only thing that I could. Spirit somehow carried it into the crypto sleep casket where it would lay rest forever. We then get into advanced components and even more components. We are ready for heavy machines. Our first part of the ship is finished, 25% done, this is good. But we need oil power and chem fuel, so I set up a rimfitter console where I can target and plan out this magnificent piece of oil refinery. The American insects wanted in on the oil, so I will have to do nothing and let the turrets simply deal with this threat. And they finished the mech cluster for me, thank you. The peaceful spring brought calmness and a few war animals into the colony. Can't reject that. Looks like the insect escaped from this massive raid. They had siege hammers, so I had to prepare once again. They blew the wall of the sealed tomb for my items to deteriorate. They then broke into the pen and decided to wreak havoc upon the animals. This claw easily killed this guy though. Animals probably cannot handle this, so I decided to haul a turret into the line of fire. I had everything guard the turrets. They came rushing in. They pushed into the pen and decided to kill my animals. This is bad. I get my turrets, but there is no ammo. I needed to reload it. My animals were suffering horribly as they plundered like Vikings. Fortunately, I get the turret and killed most of them, leading them to leave. The main house was burning up as animals died left and right. We tended to the wounded and patched up the base. Life was mediocre as we progressed once more with oil and the continuation of normalcy. I then get advanced ammunition and decided for armor-piercing incendiary and explosive ammo, which will easily kill centipede and heavy insects. This is great. I ended up making the wrong ammo type, which is typical of me. The sun shone brightly upon the land as Kent pursued with finishing the oil project. It was finally up. Not long though, we get a defoliator ship which would plague the land surrounding it. 2 centipedes in the open, this is bad. Oil is finally up, as people would say, the golden liquid. Time to place global warming upon this land. We then finally get a quest for the Persona Core. We will need to build a massive structure within a 30-day period, but if we can complete it, we complete the game. I then made an entrance for our miner Slavefish to operate the oil drill. Oh, the Arcanexus. Maybe another playthrough. We placed everything in wood except the floors, which would be the hardest part. But then we get an infested ship, which just had to land on an anima tree, huh? -6 for 6 days. Rimworld stuff. I got a new room for the cooker since everyone ended up with food poisoning. But the Rimworld plagues as we get another mech cluster, which only has forced weather machine of fog. We ignore. The structure is something we have to set up no matter what. But then we get a funny siege which happened to land on top of the defoliator ship. They fought viciously as fire and bullets spread everywhere. The raiders ended up killing all but 1 centipede. This is not bad at all. So I decide to haul a turret and solar panel with good ammo to deal with the last one. It ends up being very effective as the centipede suffers. It got out of range eventually, so I move it up a tad bit, but it wasn't interested in shooting me, so I easily kill it and get Bob to destroy the defoliator ship, allowing regrowth of vegetation. We work more on the structure as we get another mech raid, but also a caravan. The mechs ended up triggering the infested ship as a massive battle occurred. The Goliath was down, and just as so we get another massive raid. Fortunately, they were walking around the base as we had mechs and insects on the map, so we could stay safely inside. The insects went for me next, but I had the Empire here, so I wasn't too worried. Eventually, they all died, and I found a wild man who was incapable of violence. A new recruit. But the mech cluster awaits. If you are bored and enjoyed, then check out this video next.